He built his empire with discipline, power, and control, and destroyed his only love with the same precision. When Adrian Cole, a ruthless CEO, shouted, "You're fired, and out of my life," to Elena Rivers, he thought he was cutting ties with distraction. She was his brightest employee, and the woman who loved him beyond reason. But business came first, and emotions were weakness in his world. 3 years later, his perfect life began to crumble when fate brought him face to face with the one woman he'd erased, and two identical little faces looking up at him, with the same gray eyes he saw in the mirror every day. They called her Mom, and as one of them whispered, "Mom, who's that man?" Adrian's world stopped. The woman he cast aside was now raising his twins, and this time, walking away wouldn't be so easy. The rain poured over the glass walls of Cole Industries, streaking the skyline with silver veins. Inside the top-floor office, silence was sharp enough to cut through the air. Adrian Cole, 32, billionaire CEO and the city's youngest corporate powerhouse, stood behind his mahogany desk, his jaw tight, his hands clasped, and his eyes cold as the storm outside. Across from him stood Elena Rivers, his marketing director and the woman who'd once known every heartbeat beneath that steel facade. Her hands trembled as she clutched the folder filled with her last project, the one she'd stayed up 3 nights perfecting. "You're late again," Adrian said, his tone clipped, almost rehearsed. "And this," he tossed the folder onto the desk, "isn't the standard I expect from you?" Elena swallowed hard, rain dripping from her hair. "I was at the hospital, Adrian. My mother." "I'm not interested in excuses," he interrupted, voice like ice. "We don't mix business with personal issues here." Her chest tightened. "You used to care." "I used to be naive," he shot back. The words stung more than the dismissal itself. She took a shaky step forward. "You're not the man I knew. I'm not the man you thought you could change." The air crackled with unspoken things: love, pride, betrayal. The silence stretched until she whispered, "If this is about us, if you're trying to punish me for," he turned sharply, "this is about the company, Elena, about discipline. You're fired." Her heart dropped. "Fired." He nodded once, jaw set, "and out of my life, effective immediately." The world spun. She wanted to scream, to make him see what he was throwing away, but his face was stone. No emotion, no hesitation. The same man who once whispered, "I can't breathe without you," now looked like he couldn't wait for her to vanish. Her voice cracked. "You don't mean this." He stared at her for a long second, something flickering guilt, pain, before it vanished. "I do." Tears welled up, but she refused to let them fall. She straightened her back, forcing a calm she didn't feel. "Then this is goodbye." She turned and walked out before he could see her break. The elevator doors closed, and her reflection stared back, pale, broken, trembling, behind those mirrored doors. Her world collapsed quietly. She didn't know then that she was walking away with more than heartbreak. That night, Adrian sat in his office long after everyone had left. The rain had stopped, but its echo lingered. He stared at the door she'd walked through, replaying her voice in his mind. For the first time in years, he poured himself a drink, not to celebrate a victory, but to silence regret. He told himself it was the right decision. She was distracting him, she'd started missing deadlines. His investors demanded focus. Love, he decided, was for the weak. But as dawn approached and the city glowed in shades of gold, he still hadn't slept. He didn't know why his chest felt hollow, only that something essential had left with her. 3 months later, Elena sat in a small-town clinic, her trembling hands clutching a pregnancy test, positive, her breath caught. No, this can't be real. But it was Adrian's child. She sank into the chair, tears spilling freely this time. Her heart wanted to call him, to tell him everything, but her pride whispered otherwise. He'd made his choice. He'd fired her, and he'd fired the woman who loved him more than he'd ever understand that. So, she made hers. She packed her things, left the city, and built a quiet life far from Cole Industries and far from the man who'd never wanted to hear her reasons. As her belly grew, so did her resolve. The twins, too perfect. Tiny heartbeats on an ultrasound screen became her world. She named them Liam and Lila, 2 souls that carried Adrian's eyes and her smile. She worked odd jobs, took night shifts, and survived on little sleep. But every morning she woke up to their laughter, a sound that made every sacrifice worth it. Meanwhile, Adrian's empire thrived. He expanded overseas, earned Forbes headlines, and became a symbol of unstoppable ambition. But something inside him stayed broken. He'd tried dating models, business partners, anyone who looked like distraction, but none lasted. They all said the same thing. You're here, but your heart isn't. He told himself he didn't need love, but late at night, when the office lights dimmed, he'd find himself scrolling through old messages, the ones from Elena that he'd never deleted. Don't forget to eat. You workaholic. You have no idea how proud I am of you. You make me feel like I matter. He'd read those words until guilt burned behind his eyes. He had everything, and nothing. 3 years passed. One morning, Adrian's assistant rushed into his office. Sir, we have an issue with the community partnership event. The charity hospital pulled their sponsorship at the last minute. Handle it, Adrian said absently. They said they'll only speak to Ms. Elena Rivers, the head of their donor committee. His pen froze mid-air. Elena Rivers. For the first time in years, he said her name aloud. It felt both foreign and familiar. Set the meeting, he ordered. Voice steady, though his pulse wasn't, as his reflection stared back at him in the glass. A single thought echoed in his mind. After all this time, fate wasn't done with them yet. The luxury sedan pulled up to St. Clair's Children's Hospital, sunlight glinting off its polished black hood. Inside, Adrian Cole adjusted his cufflinks, masking the nervous flutter beneath his calm facade. 3 years. 3 long years since he'd last seen her. He told himself, this was just business, a meeting, a negotiation, but deep down, the word Elena still burned softly in his chest. As he stepped into the hospital lobby, the scent of antiseptic and soft lullabies filled the air. Kids laughed down the hall. Nurses moved swiftly, and somewhere in that world of innocence, was the woman he'd once destroyed? When he entered the conference room, she was already there. Elena Rivers. She wore a pale blue blouse, her hair tied neatly, her aura calm, but her eyes, those eyes held stories he wasn't ready to hear. Adrian, she greeted coolly, her tone polite, yet distant. Elena. His voice came out lower than he expected. It's been a while. She smiled faintly, without warmth. 3 years, to be exact. The silence between them was almost suffocating. He cleared his throat. I came regarding the Cole Foundation's hospital partnership. We want to continue our annual funding, but the terms we won't be renewing. She interrupted gently, flipping a file closed. Our board believes emotional integrity matters as much as money. Adrian blinked. Emotional integrity. She met his gaze calm, unwavering. Your company sponsors hospitals for PR, but we work with people who care. Her words landed like a slap. He tried to compose himself. You think I don't care about children? I think, she said quietly, you care when it benefits your image. That hurt because it wasn't entirely false. He wanted to defend himself. To say you used to believe in me, but pride chained his tongue. Instead, he asked, so this is personal? Elena's lips pressed together. Everything you do becomes personal eventually, doesn't it? Her words echoed the ones he'd once thrown at her. The irony stung before he could reply. The door burst open. A little boy and girl, maybe 3 years old, ran into the room, giggling. The boy had dark hair and sharp eyes, just like him. The girl's curls and dimpled smile mirrored Elena's mommy. They shouted in unison. Time froze. Mommy. Adrian turned slowly, his gaze darting from the twins to Elena. His throat tightened. His pulse roared in his ears. Elena's breath hitched. Liam, Lila, you weren't supposed to come in here. Sweethearts. The boy tilted his head curiously at Adrian. Mommy, who's that man? Elena knelt, forcing a smile. Just someone Mommy used to work with. But Adrian couldn't look away. Every feature the boy's eyes, the girl's chin, every fragment screamed him. His voice cracked. Elena, are they? She closed her eyes. Yes. The air left his lungs. He took a step forward, his entire world shifting beneath his feet. You had my children. He whispered, disbelief tangled with heartbreak. You never told me. Tears shimmered in her eyes. You told me to get out of your life, Adrian. So I did. His mind flooded with that day, the office, the rain, the words he could never take back. I thought you'd. He stopped himself. Why didn't you call me? Why didn't you let me be part of their lives? Elena straightened, her voice trembling yet firm. Because I didn't want them growing up with a man who saw love as weakness. He flinched. For the first time, Adrian Cole, the man who'd commanded empires, felt powerless. The twins ran around the room, chasing each other, their laughter filling the silence. Adrian watched them, his throat tight. They're beautiful, he said softly. Elena nodded, tears finally falling. They're my everything. He stepped closer, his voice shaking. They're ours, Elena. She froze. You don't get to say that now. He swallowed hard. I know I don't deserve to, but please, don't shut me out of their lives." Her heart clenched at the sound of his voice, the same voice that once made her believe in forever, but memories of heartbreak, of sleepless nights alone, kept her guard high. "You think you can walk back into my life because you suddenly care?" she whispered. "It doesn't work like that, Adrian." "I know," he said quietly, "but let me try to make it right." She stared at him for a long moment, then looked away. "You can't fix 3 years of silence with a few apologies." He nodded, guilt tearing him apart. "Then I'll earn it, your forgiveness, their love. Whatever it takes." As he left the hospital, the world looked different. The traffic, the buildings, even the sound of rain starting to fall again. It all felt distant, unimportant. For the first time, his business didn't matter. He sat in his car for nearly an hour, staring at the small toy the boy had dropped, a little wooden airplane, his reflection blurred as his eyes welled up. "I fired her," he whispered to himself. "I fired the only thing that made me human." Over the next few days, he couldn't focus at work. He canceled meetings, ignored calls, and found himself driving past the hospital more than once, just to see them. He caught glimpses: Elena reading to the kids under a tree in the courtyard, Liam showing off his toy cars, Leela holding a tiny pink umbrella, giggling in the rain. Each glimpse carved deeper into him: regret, longing, love. The mighty CEO who'd once thought emotion was weakness, now found himself breaking over the simplest thing: a child's laughter that sounded just like his own. That night, Adrian stood in front of his penthouse window, city lights sprawling beneath him. He picked up his phone, opened a message draft, and typed slowly, "Elena, I don't expect forgiveness, but I'd give everything I have just to be part of their world. Please, let me try." He stared at it for a long moment before hitting send. Across town, Elena read the message with trembling hands. Her heart warred with her mind, every memory of his cruelty, battling every echo of their old love. She looked over at the twins asleep beside her, their small hands clutching each other. "Maybe people can change," she whispered, but she wasn't sure she was ready to believe it yet. A week passed. For Adrian Cole, every hour felt like walking through the debris of a life he'd built on the wrong foundation. He sat in his office, surrounded by glass walls, high above the city he'd once ruled with pride, yet he'd never felt smaller. The skyline that once symbolized victory now only mirrored emptiness. His assistant, Lily, entered quietly. "Sir, the board meeting starts in 5 minutes." Adrian looked up slowly, eyes tired but determined. "Cancel it." Lily hesitated. "Cancel the quarterly review?" He nodded. "Yes, tell them." The CEO finally realized numbers don't make him human. That afternoon, Adrian found himself outside St. Clair's Hospital again, not as a businessman, but as a man trying to fix what he broke. In his hands, he carried a bouquet of white lilies and a small toy plane, the same one Liam had dropped that day. When he reached the children's ward, laughter spilled from the play area. He saw them: Elena, sitting cross-legged on the floor, coloring with the twins. She looked radiant in her simplicity, no luxury, no makeup, just love shining through her smile. He stood silently for a moment, watching the life he could have had. Then, softly, he said, "Hi." Elena looked up, surprised but calm. "Adrian." The twins turned instantly. "Airplane man." Lila giggled, running up to him. He laughed, kneeling to her level. "That's right, I think this belongs to you." He handed her the little wooden toy. Liam ran over to, "Mommy says you used to build airplanes." Adrian smiled faintly. "Not airplanes, buddy companies. But I think yours are better." The boy grinned, holding up his paper plane proudly. Elena watched quietly, her expression softening despite herself. Later, as the kids napped, Adrian approached her. "Thank you for letting me see them." She nodded, folding her arms. "They deserve to know where they came from." He hesitated, then said gently, "I want to be part of their lives. I don't want to take them away from you, I just want to be there. Birthdays, school, bedtime stories, whatever you'll allow." Elena's heart clenched. "And when work calls, when your world tells you love is a distraction again?" He met her eyes, not with arrogance, but with humility. "Then I'll remind myself what I almost lost because of that belief." He sighed deeply. "Elena, I built an empire, but I didn't build a life. You gave me one once, and I threw it away. I don't deserve another chance, but I'm asking for one anyway." Tears welled up in her eyes. "Do you really think you can just walk back and fix everything?" He shook his head. "No, but I can start by showing up." Over the following weeks, he did just that. He didn't send flowers or expensive gifts. He sent himself every morning. Every evening he showed up for checkups, brought snacks for the twins, read stories in the waiting room. He learned that Leela loved painting and would only eat pancakes shaped like stars. He discovered that Liam wanted to be a pilot and had his same stubborn streak, and every time he made them laugh, he saw Elena's guard soften just a little more. One rainy afternoon, the twins were discharged from the hospital. Adrian offered to drive them home. The car ride was filled with soft chatter, the kids singing off-key to a nursery rhyme. Elena smiling quietly at the sound. At a red light, Adrian glanced at her. "Do you ever think about us?" She looked out the window. "Sometimes, mostly when the kids ask about their father." He swallowed hard. "What do you tell them?" "That he's someone who once forgot what love meant," she said softly. "But maybe, he's learning again." He blinked rapidly, emotion threatening to spill. That night, after tucking the twins into bed, Elena walked him to the door. Rain pattered softly against the porch. She hesitated, then said, "You've changed, Adrian. I didn't think you could." He smiled sadly. "Neither did I, turns out. Losing you was the only lesson life had left to teach me." She took a deep breath. "You didn't just lose me. You lost time. 3 years you can't get back." He nodded slowly. "Then let me spend the rest of my life making up for them." Elena stared at him, the man who had once chosen pride over love now standing before her with nothing but truth in his eyes. And for the first time in years, she felt the ice inside her heart begin to melt. A few weeks later, the twins' birthday arrived. The small garden outside Elena's house was decorated with balloons and fairy lights. Children ran around laughing. Music played softly, and Adrian stood at the grill, wearing an apron that said "Number 1 Dad." When the twins blew out their candles, they turned to him and shouted, "Come on, Daddy, help us." The word hit him like sunlight. "Daddy." He bent down, helping them blow the candles out, his laughter breaking through years of silence. Elena watched from a few feet away, tears glistening. For the first time, she wasn't seeing the CEO of Cole Enterprises. She was seeing Adrian, the man she'd fallen in love with. Now reborn. As the night ended, Adrian approached her under the glow of fairy lights. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for letting me in." She looked up at him, smiling softly. "You didn't just walk back in, Adrian. You earned it." He reached into his pocket and pulled out 2 small airplane necklaces, one silver, one gold. "One for you," he said, gently clasping it around her neck, "and one for me, so we never forget what keeps us flying." Elena laughed softly through tears. "That's incredibly cheesy." "Yeah," he said with a grin, "but it's us." She stepped closer, her eyes warm. "Welcome home, Adrian." He smiled, not the CEO's confident smile, but the genuine one he hadn't worn in years. And as he looked over at the twins, chasing each other under the stars, he realized for the first time in his life, he wasn't missing a meeting. He was exactly where he belonged. Sometimes, the richest man is the one who finally learns what money can't buy. Adrian thought success was measured in deals and headlines, but it was really in bedtime stories, laughter, and forgiveness. Elena didn't need diamonds or apologies. She needed proof that love could survive pride. And when Adrian finally gave her that, he didn't just win her back. He became the man she always knew he could be. What would you do if the person who broke your heart returned? Not with promises, but with change. Comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more emotional millionaire love stories that remind us, sometimes, second chances are worth everything.